Its seeming absurdity is matched only by its potential to reduce the torture debate into easily digestible morsels. Our third story in the countdown, the revelation that cookies trump waterboarding in getting terrorists to talk. And as this debate continues apace, former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura joins us presently. You will recall that former FBI agent Ali Soufan recently told a Senate panel that al-Qaeda operative Abu Zubaydah offered up actionable intelligence while under standard interrogation, that once waterboarding and other harsh techniques began, Zubaydah stopped cooperating. Now Mr. Soufan tells Time magazine that the turning point in another interrogation must have been the cookies. Sugar-free cookies offered to Osama bin Laden's chief bodyguard, Abu Jandal, once Mr. Soufan realized that Jandal was diabetic. Quoting, "We had showed him respect and we had done this nice thing for him, so he started talking to us instead of giving us lectures." And bear in mind that Jandal was being interrogated in the week after the 9/11 attacks. Initially, Jandal had refused to even look interrogators in the eye. He railed against the evils of the West, but after the cookies, quote, he could no longer think of us as evil Americans, according to Soufan. Now he was thinking of us as human beings. After further interrogations, including some trickery, Jandal became completely cooperative, and not just what the pros call crumbs of information. Real information was coming from him. Cut to the silly and inaccurate claims about the effectiveness of torture by the likes of Sean Hannity. Governor Ventura has vowed that if he waterboarded Hannity, he could get the Fox News host to say that Barack Obama is the greatest president. Similar suggestion for the former vice president.
I said it before. You give me a waterboard 1 hour in Dick Cheney and I'll have him confessing to the Sharon Tate murders.
Joining us now as promised, former Minnesota governor, former U.S. Navy SEAL, former MSNBC host Jesse Ventura, now author of Don't Start the Revolution Without Me. Thanks for some of your time tonight, Governor.
Hi, Keith. How are you doing tonight?
Not too bad. Thanks for coming on.
Sure.
The Time magazine article about bin Laden's bodyguard, it sounds crazy, but if we can get real intelligence using traditional interrogation, to say nothing of sugar-free cookies, should we be assuming that we used torture not to get real intelligence, but to get people to confess to things that weren't true?
Well, that certainly is a possibility, Keith, because there's no credibility to torture. If you torture someone, they are going to say whatever it is they need to say to stop the torture. That's why we don't allow it in a court of law. That's why the police can't use waterboarding techniques and things of that nature. It is brutal torture. I've been waterboarded, and I'm a former competitive swimmer. And I'll tell you what, Michael Phelps couldn't stand up to waterboarding because it gives you this sensation of drowning, and we as swimmers would be far more accustomed to it than the average person would.
Well, that dovetails exactly with the tape of this Chicago radio guy, Mancow, who said, went into this knowing that being a swimmer, and in fact having drowned as a kid and having been resuscitated, he knew what this was really like, and he knew this couldn't possibly be that. He lasted 6 seconds. He said, not only is it torture, not only is it drowning, it's death. It's being undersold. How does something like what he did impact this debate, such as it is?
Well, you know, it shows that we should not be a country that tortures. And the sad thing is, President Obama says now he's not going to prosecute anyone. Well, you know what that tells me, Keith? It tells me the Democrats are involved, too. They may have not ordered the torture, but they certainly knew it was going on. They did nothing to stop it. Whenever government says to you it's time to move on, you can rest assured the two parties are both involved, because both of these parties make their decisions to try to strengthen their parties. If there were no Democrats involved, you would see the Democrats prosecute the Republicans on this one.
The experience of watching somebody who was adamant that this was not torture get a quick conversion. How come Sean Hannity won't do it? I hesitate to call him your friend, but you've been on his show. Well, and how come he trashed you when you brought it up about him rather than address the topic to, you know, in some meaningful way?
Well, I don't know, because whenever there's no right in torture. Torture's against the law. We shouldn't condone it. We're a country, if we don't stand for the rule of law, you can't just stand for it when it's convenient, Keith. You have to stand for the rule of law all the time. They have nothing to stand on. So that's just, you know, That's just creativity in entertainment of the news. Hannity says he could be waterboarded. There's no doubt in my mind Hannity wouldn't last 30 seconds. I can't last 30 seconds to waterboarding. And I've been through BUDS, basic underwater demolition SEAL training. There's nothing more torturous than that. And if I can't stand it, how's he going to go through it?
Of course. But last question about Dick Cheney and the others who continue to attack Obama on his stance about using torture now. Setting aside for a second the question of prosecuting what went before.
Sure.
What is it that Cheney hopes to gain? What is it that those who agree with him hope to gain at this point?
Well, I think they're hoping that no one continues to prosecute them for what they did, for his lawyers all the way up to them. I did a lot of reading, and, you know, they had lawyers making decisions on what's torture and what's not, that it's not torture unless death is inevitable. Well, I got news for you. Waterboarding can cause death. If it's not done properly, you can easily kill somebody waterboarding them.
Yeah, the tracheotomy kit is not standing by during these interrogations for laughs. Jesse Ventura.
Well, when they did it to us at SEER School, Keith, they had a doctor standing by any time any serviceman was waterboarded.
Yeah, and somehow there's still a debate about this. Former governor of Minnesota, now the author of Don't Start the Revolution Without Me. Good luck with the book. Great thanks for your time, Jesse.
Thank you, Keith. Always a pleasure.